And so here is the fresh start. Welcome everybody to the weekly number 9 Korean edition featuring Zero Mind Effort Best. We're going to have two teams, and it is going to be Effort and Mind versus Zero and Best. No, it's not a 2v2 in the sense that it will be a 4-player map with all 4 players on it at once, but each individual teammate will be fighting for their pride, and there will be a one save me life for either of the players that they will choose at some odd moment to determine which of their teammates they want to resurrect to keep playing here. So that's going to be absolutely important as we go in through this series here, and we're just going to watch how it plays out. You know, we're already a few minutes into this show here, so let's go ahead and get things rolling for those of you who are impatient and just want to watch as much Korean StarCraft as possible. I'm going to hide this from you because I don't want you to see the games from start to finish. No spoilers for you guys here, but let's go ahead and load in this Effort versus Best here, which will be on Circuit Breaker. A big thanks again to Lamada, who helps me get these replays. He's been reaching out to Zero, and Zero is more than happy to provide him and the foreign community with these replays, which is just an absolutely cool thing here. And I'm very, very proud of the Koreans to actually be able to contribute to the foreign scene here. So we're going to be opening up with Zero up here at the, Effort here at the top left. And then it's going to be Best at the top right. And both players just going to try and put on the best show they can for their team. Now, interesting to note, and I don't know if you guys still have this Pavlovian effect when you used to watch Best play versus Zerg, but it was an automatic thing in my head that, okay, I think that Best is probably going to lose, especially when you see a player like Effort coming out to play against him in this game. But Best has been dominating against Zergs. He's really taken his statistics much higher, and he plays really well now against Zerg opponents. So now it's no longer a shoo-in, it's no longer a given. And think about Eyewater, who actually isn't that great of a PvZer either, but Eyewater came out and played a beautiful game against Effort, and maybe after that demoralizing defeat that Effort had in the ASL, he might not be as good as a ZVPer. He may start to be in a tiny bit of a slump. Someone was mentioning on Team Liquid just today also that they thought that Light was in a slump against Zerg. So you know, these things happen. Even if you're a TVZ monster like Light, eventually you're going to lose a few games to your opponent. So let's start calling out the build orders here. We're having a Gateway First, and Gateway First is becoming so much more common on Circuit Breaker. It's almost the new standard. So while Forge Expand can totally work, I think that Protoss players really like the Gateway First, getting out a Zealot because it's a large map, and getting some key, drone kills and some map presence early on can pay out pretty big. Meanwhile, we saw that the scouting probe went down here, saw that there was nothing, is going to continue to move on the scout. Meanwhile, there's a drone here that we'll see that the first Zealot is underway, and this gateway has been made at the front. We've got the hatchery out, so they opened up with the 12 hatch, the spawning pool following up, and a more macro-oriented build for Effort. But either way, it is still a very good opening. He's going to be fine because this spawning pool is going to be finishing up very shortly here. And Effort has good early game management. So as long as he can deal with this one Zealot, then he'll be fine. Of course, without speedlings, it's slow lings, and you're going to need 3 very efficient Zerglings to be able to take out just that initial Zergling. And 2008 Ever OSL Syndrome, oh boy, does that bring me back. I believe that's the one where Best lost to July in the most humiliating fashion ever. And you got like Bisu's O-Face in that finals. Everybody loves to reference to Bisu O-Face. That and the bucket are like the KT fans' just favorite macro images ever. And you know what? We got to get rid of those memes. We got to delete them from the internet. We need more internet control. Am I right? Okay, so the initial probe gets killed off. And you know what? When you have the probe and the Zealot going in for that early harassment, you generally see that probe do a little bit more because Zerglings do try and focus on the Zealot and take it out. But picking up the probe first was really nice by Effort here, and he's actually getting a lot of damage. Look at that! Oh, he does manage to take it out. The Zealot got nothing done. There was no damage here. A great defense. Oh, but look inside here. Oh, we got another Zealot. We got another Zealot. It's got 3 kills. So the Zerglings, they did so good inside this main base. But then the Zealot went ham on these drones, got a couple kills here, and now in reply, Effort's going, well, Well, look how many Zerglings I got. I got 8 running across here. Are you going to wall off properly? The Photon Cannon's coming up behind the Forge, which is pretty natural at this point to have built up. Nexus is going to be finishing up very shortly here too. And I say that Best is in as good of a position that he can be in for right now. Best played a beautiful PvZ last week too in my Korean cast. Or no, I'm sorry, that was actually Eyewater, who had a great PvZ and played some really good macro games on Circuit Breaker itself. So it's a map that that Protoss players can excel on. Definitely not one of those maps where you immediately think, oh, this isn't balanced. This is going to be way too hard for a Protoss player to win on. I would say maybe if it was against a Terran player, that there's a little bit more of an argument for Protoss players having trouble, but not so much. We've seen that that in the ASL, Eyewater dominated Sharp. So what a great finals that was, and for Protoss fans. In general, I would say it's a little bit lackluster just seeing a 3-0 after all of the hype. Sharp getting to the finals, you know, preparing himself so mentally, getting to the stands early, and I was really disappointed that he did not pull off a better showing. But who couldn't be happy for the Mole Master Eyewater? And I'm gonna get Eyewater and Shuttle crisscrossed for a little while longer, so just bear with me as I do get the names incorrectly. Okay, so we have a count of 4 Zealots coming out here. There's one Zealot just following behind here, you know, later out of the gateway, but he will join in to fight for Ire here. The Zergling is going to be bouncing on this bridge. Let's look at this. So another gas is going to be coming up here. A relatively quick gas, I would say. I feel like Effort just wants to get to Hydras and possibly Lurkers pretty quickly here, and let's see, there's Zealot just chasing out all the drones here from this mineral only. So a lot of disturbances are occurring. We can see that the Hydra Den is out. Speed is going to be up on the way. There's going to be no lair here. It's going to be faster Hydras, like I said, because no lair is on the way. So this is going to be tough. If Corsairs are going to be following up for Best. Let's go ahead and look inside of this main base. We do see that the single Stargate is out. There's no Corsairs yet. You can look at the counter for the MCA launcher counter on the left side, but there is going to be the Citadel of Dune, so we can see the speed coming out for the Zealots. Oh, okay, so the nice little pick off there. The Zerglings finally being able to take out one of the Zealots over at that location. We can see this is constant. Let me do... No, that doesn't help either. I mean, no matter how I shift tab, the colors on this map are just brutally tough to deal with here. And I feel like anybody who's not color challenged is going to has difficulty here, just because the orange and yellow are very similar. Okay, so this Zealot, again, what's the kill here? 2 kills, getting another Zergling, got a drone earlier, I believe, and just doing a great job. But these Hydras here are going to clog everything up. Meanwhile, a second cannon did drop down and a third cannon, so this is really smart. Best has identified that because of the earlier gas, this is going to be a quick to Hydra type build. It's going to be all about, yeah, once this hatchery gets close to finish, I'd imagine that's when you're going to start seeing the siege of Hydralisk starting to just power attack on the front of this base here. So this front face is going to be in a lot of trouble very shortly. We're looking at the 8.5 minute mark when we can start to see things get really interesting for Best as he tries to go for the hold down defense. 2 more gateways coming up here, so it's going to be 4 gateways in total. That's a pretty sizable amount off these 2 bases, but can they come quick enough? You can see that the Storm research has begun too, and Dark Templars first. Dark Templars are going to be can be really important for defense. But as you can see, there's only 2 Corsairs out here. Where are the 2 Corsairs? Okay, so no kills off yet so far. We haven't seen any Overlords get taken out. And these Corsairs, where are they camping here? I feel like Best needs to be more proactive. Start at least identifying how many Hydras are out on the map here. 7 Hydras in total. He doesn't need to stay completely at home at this time. He can move out with the Zealots if he wants to here. More Corsairs coming though. A total of 3 Corsairs in this mix right now. We can see 2 DTs have been added to the map here, and one of them is already making its way across down at the bottom. Meanwhile, you can see that 1 DT up here at the top is going to make its way inside this base. There's 2 Overlords here. This is going to be way too easy for Everett to defend, and that is going to have to be immediate drawback. Dark Templar actually took some health damage here. Very interesting. So DTs have been revealed. If Everett didn't sense it or identify it earlier, he knows definitely for sure that there was a DT in his base, and oh boy, I gotta get those Overlords in the right position. So you can see, even though this is just a grueling pace for the Overlord, it's gonna be making his way over towards that bridge. Meanwhile, let's look at the hold down here. A couple High Templars have been added in, 2 High Templars total. And we got a couple more macroed in here. Yep, just one, only one more. Rather surprising, but they are pretty gas heavy here. Okay, so these Corsairs, this is a constant watch that we have to keep up with here. How much damage? I believe actually one of the Corsairs got picked off. Wasn't the count at 4 just a second ago here? Look at the chase down. The speed done here. The Dark Templar going to be taken out in just a jiffy. Effort doing a great job hunting down this assassin. And the Protoss not doing so well here. Meanwhile, these Corsairs still not getting too much done. Looks like there's a little bit of action over here. One of the Zerglings getting picked off. Protoss Dark Templar getting a single kill, but not going to be enough. We can see that with the High Templars moving out here, this is when you start to see a possible switch to Mutatech. And is that going to happen here? We do see that the Spire's up. But no Mutas on the way. And then it's just going to be pure Hydra coming in to do a masterful surround here. Effort finding a great timing, forcing this Archon to actually start the morph here. 2 High Templar out of the mix, and that's going to cost a lot of storms. The Overlord speed is going to be integral here too, because these Dark Templar can't do anything to defend. There's not a lot in terms of numbers for Zealots, and it looks like this Nexus will have to get canceled here. Yeah, eventually he does get that refund here, and these Hydralisks are going to start working their way over more toward these Zealots. Now, there's not a lot of empty pathways here for these Zealots to get outside this base, so the fact that Best wasn't able to move the Zealots out here means that he's going to have to camp back here. Oh, okay, he's going to single file out and try and engage on the Hydralisk. Sometimes you allow one of your buildings to die off so you can move out with more surface area and come out with a line here, but still going for that single file march here. And these Hydralisks are just going, you know, they're too deep now in a long line and doing so much damage. The gateway, the forge down, as many cannons as possible were built in the background here, and you can see that this is really bad in terms of energy. The High Templar with no storm, it's going to force a GG. And Best losing his game, and we're going to have to figure out, are they going to redeem Best in this 2v2 series that we have going on? This is teams of 2 battling out against each other here. And either Best can choose to revive himself now, or he can let his partner Zero use a revive later in the series. Okay, and I'm going to take a look at this. We're looking at 2317. Don't want to ruin this for you. Say bye-bye there. And we're going to have... Okay, guys. Yeah, did I say 2317? Yes, I did. Effort versus Zero. Best chooses to bow out here. Is going to let Zero have the extra life. So Zero is going to be responsible for not just taking down Effort, but taking down Mind if he does defeat Effort here. Of course, Effort and Mind still have their extra life. So let's go ahead and update the top screen here. It is going to be a ZVZ. Oop. Caps lock, guys. Okay. So let me get a little bit of water here, as it's always so important to stay hydrated during these long casts. And of course, welcome to the weekly Dagger, guys. It is awesome to have you here. Week number 9, and this is the Korean edition. If you missed the Tuesday edition, it was Scan versus Eon Zerg and a best of 9. And if you missed Scan versus Koget last week on that foreign edition, that was a best of 14. Meanwhile, last week's Thursday cast was consisting of some of the top Korean players and a King of the Hill format. So much fun, some of the best games possible, and you could see Eyewater, your ASL champion there, and that's really important that you give him the love, the respect, and the viewership. Okay, I have no idea what I'm going to do next week on Tuesday. These best of 9 and best of 14s have been consuming my Tuesday my Tuesday cast, but I'm going to have to find some unique foreign replays that are going to be ready to cast. Of course, L Master's back into the scene. We have I Love Av, aka Cat's Paw, who's been casting foreign games too. So we have a lot of foreign casting going on right now, but no one has casting Korean replays like I do, and I have been doing this for about 5 years now, so thank you guys for joining in on that. Let me see. Lamana added in here. Best jokes that he doesn't make a Corsair anymore because it's not an efficient way to kill Scourges. Gotcha. So best actually went pretty Corsair light, and Eyewater went Corsair light too. I feel like more and more we're seeing a lot of Protoss players that aren't good at Corsair control just going ahead and going light on the Corsairs, knowing that if they don't build a Stargate and they don't get at least one or two Corsairs, that it is a bear to deal with Mutas. They know that they can't just skip over the metagame from 2003 to 2005. But they have to honor the fact that Mutas still exist. All right, let's get up the fastest mode here. We're going to see at the top right-hand corner, this is going to be Effort. He is going to be the yellow Zerg. Meanwhile, down at the bottom left, it will be Zero. What is this? I believe it's the purple Zerg. Okay, and so looking pretty normal so far. The Overlords making their way out. ZVZs can be boring. I know that you guys might want to just mentally check out when you go, oh god, a ZVZ, this is really happening. But Zero and Effort are not only just the top 2 Zerg players in the world, they are also really, really good and when they play against each other in a ZVZ. So, I mean, just get excited over the fact that these two compete really well. Now, the last ZVZ that I counted was that I casted was a foreign ZVZ between Eon Zerg and True Touch. Now that was out of control. What an amazing best of 3 that was part of the Crispy Cup. And if you missed that, go back 3 weeks and you can watch the Crispy Cup cast between those two players and their ZVZ. And it was a lot of fun, so you can really get your enjoyment out of that. Of course, we're seeing here the opening up. It's going to be spawning pool. Oh, so the overpull with the extractor here, not going for the 12 hatch. How similar is this going to be for Zero down at the bottom? Look at this, guys. Look at this. The hatchery first instead. So, okay, we have to give the slight advantage here to Effort because he's mining gas quicker. He's going to get to Spire quicker. He's going to be getting his Zerglings quicker. Everything favors Effort at this time. Zero is going to have to overcome basically a really, really tough opening because look how late this spawning pool is. It's just barely reaching a quarter here. And we already have speed. Oh, God. Oh, God. How does Zero hold on to here? How does Effort lose this game with such an advantage here coming out? But, of course, when you open Overpull and you go greedy Zerglings with speed and you don't succeed, that extra hatchery, if somehow it stays alive, puts Zero catapulting ahead into the lead here, and that's possibly what could happen. No idea what the results are going to be, but I would be really sad if we see an extra life already being burned by the team that's down 1. So Best already lost. If you missed game number 1, Effort was able to just completely stomp him with Hydralisk, and now we see that the Zerglings are coming in here. Look, the hatchery's about to finish up, and it's going to be a drone drill. Oh, man. Okay, so Zerglings are on their way, but there are no Zerglings out yet. And these drones, 12 drones right now. Keep track of that. Down to 11. So 1 count, 2 count. We're seeing 2 drones that have been eliminated so far. 6 Zerglings are out. The hatchery's getting low, but still, with more drones coming out, more Zerglings in the way. Only 1 more drone has been killed off the Zerglings. They might be able to defend this here. Down to 7 drones in total. Oh, God. 4 Zerglings, though. Can they defend without losing any more drones? It's going to be so important here. The count getting up to 7. The defender's advantage is real, but speed has completed for these Zerglings, I believe. Well, let's go ahead and do a quick check. And yes, so speed is done here. And that's going to be great for reinforcing Zerglings that need to come down. Every bit of larva is going to have to go into the Zerglings for Zero, who's chasing around Effort's lings inside of this base. Down here, this is just getting chaotic. He's up to 9, 10 Zerglings in total. So he does have the Zergling count finally. But he's got to guard his front too. Meanwhile, trying to take care of the main and not affording to lose any more drones here. The hatchery stays alive. What a defense from Zero, who's able to just overcome this deficit early on. defend against these Zerglings. A perfect drone drill. You can see that he only lost 4 in total, and that he's still mining pretty strong, but he is late on gas. There's a huge advantage here, and we can see that the Spire's on the way. A sunken colony is going to be able to defend this main base here, and the best option for Zero is possibly to go for a counterattack and pick off drones, because if he can cut this drone count down by 3, even possibly 4, then mining from gas isn't going to be way too optimal for effort, because you need to have a substantial amount of minerals on the income too. Okay, meanwhile, we can see that only a single drone has been built so far, but this is going to be constant droning up while these Lings try and go for the defense here. 2 Lings make it inside, Effort going for one more dive in to try and get another set of drones. Oh boy, he actually forced his drone off the gas, so gas coming later and later. Not even layer tech, so this is gonna have to go for spore defense here. Eventually these mutas are gonna be coming out, and this is gonna happen. The Zerglings up here trying to harass one more time. Let's keep an eye on this. 8 for effort. We got to keep an eye on that. So 10 total. 2 more drones have been able to be added in here. Meanwhile, we finally see the evolution chamber coming down. This is going to be really important. The Overlord coming in with the scout, knowing that there's no anti-air right now. And how many Zerglings is it going to take to kill off this evolution chamber? That's going to be really important here, because Effort does not want these static defenses to occur here. He does not want that to happen. Oh god, getting another quick Zergling kill here, and Effort is just going manic crazy here. His link control has been pretty solid so far in this game. Is he going to get another drone here too? Actually getting it down. 2 drones down, because you can see he was at 10, went down to 8 here. Another spore coming up on the way. Meanwhile, looking inside the space, a drone gets killed off. Down to 7 now. I said that if he can get 3 total, so he's at 7 from 8. But if you get that to 5, Effort's in trouble. He can't go mutas anymore, and he would have to switch back over to drones. Now the problem is that already a few mutas are out. You can see that 3 mutas were trying to dive in here too, but the spore is going to be enough to defend. The drone count wasn't affected, so don't worry about that. There's no gas mining here. The gas income is so low and so slow here, because it's just one base, and the fact that you can't get a lot of minerals here, you see that he has to split between actually mining minerals and then switching back over to gas here too. And Zero, he's actually moving in with a ton of Lings, trying to get more drone damage done here. Up to 8 drones though. Another drone has been macroed in. In fact, he's using mutas and sunkens, and then macroing up with drones behind this too. Let's see here, just a muta going out for a random scout here, trying to make sure that there are no additional hatcheries hidden across this space. Always so important. When you get to that 7-minute mark, you're thinking, okay, well, you know, we may be in some sort of weird stalemate here just temporarily. Let's make sure that there isn't a hidden base for my opponent here. 11 drones so far, no gas mining here, and this is going to be really tough, because Effort still has to find a way to transition over to a second hatchery. Meanwhile, the second hatchery here for Zero, 2 spore colonies for the defense, and that's going to be pretty solid at the natural. You can still pick off drones pretty quickly though. And so these mutalisks, the 5 of them, would they want to actually dive in here though? No, I don't think it's worth it. If you trade a drone for a mutalisk, it's just not quite that good. He's gonna go for it though. He does get 1 drone, soaking up a few hits, only gonna take the health down on the mutas a little bit here. You can see that 5 are still in the mix. An expansion to the hatchery, and this is looking like it could turn into a longer game. Depends on the level of aggression here. I think the mutas killed off a Ling. I heard a little bit of a glaive attack in the background here. Oh, looks like there was a Ling up here in the top right too, but look, 13 drones in total here and 19 drones. So the mining's actually looking pretty sweet for Zero at this point in the game. Yeah, 463 APM is totally insane. But you know what? It takes a bit to be able to rally and stack these mutas properly and get them in this stacked formation here. And so we've got to see, are these mutas going to be able to get another hit in? The total is still only 5. No more gas mining coming from Effort. Actually, you can see, yeah, 462. And he must have 1 drone on gas, but I don't want to go check out his base quite yet. Let's see, 19 drones still. And, well, okay, so he did lose that one, but it looks like he's still keeping up the worker macro as he continues to hold out at this base. The lair just coming down. The lair is finally on its way. And so while there is a spire done for effort, it's not like he's getting this drastic mutilated. Even though there's no spire for Zero. Let's go ahead and do a check-in. Now we can see that the gas is going to start coming up a lot quicker now, that there are 3 drones on that gas. No droning quite yet over here, and it's not like because we're 10 minutes into the game that there will be a shortage of minerals or gas, because it already takes so long for Zerg players to mine out any base. Okay, so this is a ton of Zerglings here. A massive attack. And this drone formation here trying to defend as best they can. Meanwhile, the defense is actually paltry here. There's no Sunken. The Sunken's actually taking a lot of damage while it tries to morph in here. Does eventually just get the cancel. Oh my god. Oh my god. Zero taps out. GG. Wow. 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 Okay, here's the deal. This is a team format. There's 2 players on either team. Zero's already lost his life. And he's going to have to be resurrected here. So this means that he's going to have to be Effort in another game. And then he's going to have to play Mind. And Effort could actually resurrect himself for an additional Zerg play. Or Mind can resurrect himself if he loses. So I don't know how Zero's going to do this after losing this initial ZVZ. But he is going to have to resurrect himself now and play against Effort one more time. And we'll see how this turns out. Alright, loading up the games here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Megash, thank you! Thank you for calling me an awesome caster. You are an awesome viewer. And that's how things work around here. Let me hide this away from you. Let me update the score. I haven't updated that actually here. So it's going to be 2-0 so far here. And someone's going to complain about that the score doesn't make sense and I didn't put the format out anywhere properly. Let me just tell you, I learned about the format correctly from Lamada. Thank you, thank you. Just as the cast started. So I'm way too lazy to try and update my overlay any better to inform you on how this format actually works. Just know that Zero is going to continue to play versus Effort and maintain happiness. Oh, no way, no way, no way. Are you kidding me? Bloody Ridge? Is that what it said? Oh, man. Okay, let's bring this up here. So, thank you. Let's see. Just looked at the unofficial count. Effort is 22 and 21 in ZVZ balloon matches over the last few months. And Zero is 56 and 29. Wow. So, Zero has a great win rate here. That is absurd. And so what is that, a 66% win rate? If I can do math here. Okay, so let's go ahead and figure out where these players are. And let me see if I can, yeah, that looks a little bit better. We're going to have to go ahead and look at this, though. Get the colors correct. This is the problem, guys. This is why I hate being colorblind, is only the start of the matches when I'm trying to figure out what the players are. But I believe that this is Effort down here at the bottom left. And now I'm going to change that color. And then Zero at the top right. Tell me if I got that. Everybody look at the mini map. And I'm actually going to pause this real quick to wait and get confirmation, because I promise you, I'm so colorblind that I can't tell the difference between the 2 colors at the top right and the bottom left. And this is why I have a co-caster who announces all the openings here. But I don't want to cast this wrong. But I believe that Zero is at the top right. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to go ahead and cast with that from here, and we're going to move forward. All right, here we go. Now we have the yellow and whatever that color is down at the bottom left. Zero's lower left. Zero's lower left. Okay, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay. Okay, everybody ignore what I just said 2 seconds ago. I got it backwards. Zero's bottom left. Effort is top right. He will be the yellow player. Similar spawn positions. So that will actually help unconfuse you guys too. Just think about what we just saw in the last game with the cross spawn. And we're going to have a similar cross spawn here between these 2 players. We can see that the spawning pool is opening up for Zero here, and he wants to go more aggressive, going for this overpool build instead of going for the hatchery. But this is going to be a mirror up. Effort knows that he was pretty successful with the overpool in the last game. Why not go for that in this game too? And that's how things are going to carry out. That Spire so late. You know, I thought Zero, because of the way he defended so well, and lasted so long in that game that I think his lane control is more superior. And if this just turns out to be a speedling versus speedling, who's going to end up winning the game type build, then I definitely think that it will favor Zero. Both these players dropping down their additional hatcheries though, kind of understanding the map, understanding that, okay, if I open up with this way, I save up, and I get this hatchery, this is going to be fine. Now, they're not going for speed. Both players have opted to skip speed, so they have those additional minerals, so they can go for yeah, this is 12 pull. Thank you. This is going to be a standard 12 pull build here, which is a little bit different than going for that overpull style, where you stop at 9 when you build your spawning pool here. Oh man, colors are distracting at the beginning. All right, so we can see that the links are gathering up here. 6 Zerglings in total. I would imagine that this is going to be matched by effort on the right side of the map here. Actually gone up to 8 Zerglings. As we click back and forth in the early game, we're going to see just massive amounts of growing Zerglings trying to build themselves up. Who's going to get the upper hand here? Who can defend better? And when you look at this map layout here, and that's also a really good point, because you guys may be unfamiliar with this map. And let's go ahead and take a look at the layout. So it's this kind of wide open area here, not a very tight area. And there's no ramp to defend. So Zerglings can easily get inside of this main base. And so that's going to be a huge thing here. So this is going to be the constant pathway that Zerglings are going to head through for a direct route. But there's these high ridges here on the left and right too, that you can easily expect Zerg players to run their Zerglings around. Meanwhile, if you were going to try and defend with spore colonies, there's a much wide open area for Mutalisks to come in and do their attacks here. I don't think that's as necessary to go over here, but it's really important just to see that the Zerglings can easily get inside that main base. So this is going to be a tough game for either player, whoever loses this wall early on. So we can see that Effort's deciding to defend the inner wall. Meanwhile, we're seeing that the outer wall is going to be defended by Zero in this game. This is an Overlord, don't be concerned, just floating around, just being nosy about Zero's business here. So the initial group of Zerglings, like I said, when you start this game off, you're just going to be using that direct path down the middle here, and the Zerglings are going to be heading in towards this natural base location, and it looks like this area has been given up to Zero, opting to guard between the natural and the main, where it's a little bit of an easier opening to guard with, because you can pull your drones off the mineral line and try and go for this defense. Okay, let's look at the total drone count though. It's going to be at 12. Will any of these get picked off? The Zergling count going down quite a bit here. Zero, I think, is going to defend though, with very few Zerglings in the end. So this is going to force a lot of larvae to go into the Zerglings for this defense. He knows that he's going to have to basically overbuild Zerglings until the pressure has been let off by effort here. A great spawn of Zerglings here. So while even though there are 2 Zerglings left, it's actually doing a great job of pulling these drones away from the mineral line here. One of them going directly into the gas, so we can see that the gas situation going pretty good. The lair has finished up. The Spire on the way here too. And this is just minor harassment here coming from these Zerglings. Looks like one of them managed to get picked off. And effort showing, and 2 games in a row now, that he has great instinct and ability to kill off drones inside of main bases. Meanwhile, let's look inside of his base. We can see that the Spire is on the way. No hidden surprises here. Some small mining from his base here too. And it pays off to be the aggressive Zerg player. You know, Defender's Advantage can cause you to lose your Zerglings pretty quickly. But the way that Effort timed it out and attacked Zero didn't have a lot of time to build additional Zerglings and defend. And I think that allowed Effort to really have the upper hand in this early game. 11 drones for Effort, meanwhile 11 drones for Zero. So this is about as even as a game as it can get at this point. 18 Zerglings to 18 Zerglings. Seriously guys, it's as if nothing happened, but still we saw a little bit of excitement early on in this game. Yeah, this is an old map. I can't remember when it was played in Pro League. 2008 or earlier. It had to have been. Just because my memory only gets fuzzy when we start going back to 2007 and earlier. Of course I remember all the MSLs between 2007 and 2006. No one nitpick at that comment. Of course I remember those. Oh, the GOM TV series. So good, so good. So we see that the Zerglings are going to make it in here one more time. Let's see here, 11. So I just saw that a drone must have gotten picked off here. But there's so many Zerglings getting to this base over here too. So they're counterattack. Zero trying to get as much damage as he can as the mutas pop for effort here. And the Zerglings heading up towards this base too. The stack of drones, it's going to have to be really good. You can see that he's just using the trick to get them all just in one spot as they go towards the gas and back to the mineral line, doing this beautiful drone drill. And 10 drones in total. The mutas are out so far here. Let's look inside this base. It looks like there's some mess going on here too. But the drone count is still relatively even. One drone does go down to take it down to the count of 9. Meanwhile, oh my god, I swear to god, I'm clicking on both Zerg forces here between effort and Zero. But every time I do, we're getting the same exact statistics on both sides here. 4 Mutalisk in total power here, and we can see 5 Mutalisk in total for effort. So the one thing he does have is that one additional Mutalisk in his arsenal. But of course that's been caught up with 2 at this point, as you can see that Zero is continuing to produce Mutalisk behind the droning at his main base. The mining from this minerals, and 3 on the gas. Going to be pretty solid here. And I'm actually surprised he's going to get another drone, try and squeeze that out. And meanwhile, going to go for Scourge as the additional unit to aid and abet into this air attack here. And it looks like a decent amount of Scourge, 6 Scourge in total. This can be very, very damaging if Everett can get his shots off and play this out properly. Again, while I thought that Zero would have been the better Zergling microer, I am very confident that Zero is the better Mutalisk microer. And just in my experience of casting the previous leagues between the ASL, the KSL, the VSL, what do we call that? The Advanced Star League here. All the different names that we had in previous years where these two players ended up fighting each other. Alright, we can see that this is still just a good sizable Scourge pack here. And these Mutalisks going to be going down, just kind of trying to find if there's any overlords that they can pick off. Look at the count. The count is 34-34. So the food couldn't be any more similar. We're still seeing a similar amount of drones, just one additional drone for effort here too. I mean, this is nitpicking so far to try and find which player is really holding the advantage. Meanwhile, a Zergling just try and run its way in to see maybe can it kill off a drone? Can it find where the mutas are, catch them off guard? Who's going to decide to attack here? I mean, unless you feel like you're the better microer, why would you ever be the aggressive muta player? Because you know that defender's advantage is even huge with the mutas. Once additional Scourge pop up, you're going to have to react to those pretty instantly. Okay, so 12 Scourge in total. Oh, nice little just Scourge on Scourge action here. And we can see that Scourge does get picked off too. So I'm just checking out the spires here to see if there's going to be any upgrades. Both players choosing not to go for the upgrades here. Then the mutas sitting on 0-0. I guess this one got hit because you can see that it's sitting at 30 health, and there's really been no muta damage that was taken at any point so far. I love these single Scourge, but they can be really expensive. If you send in one Scourge at a time hoping that you're going to get a hit, yeah, that's really actually not that efficient. But a patrolling Scourge in the middle of the map, you can take that because that's going to give you a lot of really good data on whether Zero is actually going to move out on the map and start taking it to the helm of effort up here. Yeah, no time for upgrades, no money for upgrades. This is rough for both players. It's about as close as it can get. 14 Scourge and 10 Mutalisks are going to be engaging in an army that has 10 Mutalisks and 9 Scourge. So the Scourge are on the upper hand right now, but they're constantly dying off. Can all the hits go in here? The mutas on the stack right now, and this is a really scary force. So many mutas taking hits right now. 8 Mutalisks in total, 7 Scourge remaining for effort. As he tries to survive. Look how low the health is. He's trying to stack his mutas up as efficiently as possible because he wants to be able to engage on Zero's army here. Zero has 10 Mutalisks in total, and these are weak mutas. So 8 mutas right now, but weak mutas. And they're going to have to rely on the Scourge shield as these drone pickoffs are absolutely huge. And just delaying the gas here. I mean, he's not only going to get the extractor, but he's been able to get drone kills behind it. I mean, that's icing on the cake. In fact, I'm sure that he preferred the drone kills over actually taking down the extractor here because any delay of gas is the best. Yeah, I'm making up words here, but bear with me. We are in a ZVZ. This one Scourge going to be just maybe getting a single pick off here. Oh, it ran into the Overlord. Probably not too happy about that. This is like watching you know, Independence Day with all those like little ships that just sailed out and suicided each other in that early micro battle where the military base ended up getting taken out. I'm just trying to reference an old movie. Bear with me. Okay, so more Scourge and Muta's trying to get into the engagement here. Looks like both Zerg players, I keep wanting to call them Zerglings, are trying to pilot their armies as best as possible here. Try and get these Muta hits in as easily as possible here. Now this Extractor does stay alive. There's nothing that can really heal the Extractor except for time. And so it's just going to be a really volatile building that's going to be sitting here trying to stay alive as long as possible. I don't know if any of you guys actually saw the next Independence Day movie. I did not. I just assumed that they tried to copy the original format as much as possible. And there goes that volatile building that I was talking about earlier. Yeah. So if you guys saw Independence Day 2 and it was worth the watch, let me know. I mean, Ghostbusters 2 looked pretty terrible, and we're gonna see GG right here. I'm sorry that I just kind of talked over that victory here, but Zero played a pretty good game, knocks out Effort, unless they choose to resurrect Effort, which we're all hoping we don't have to see one more ZVZ. Let's move on for the day. All right, let me hide this overlay. And what was really disappointing to me was Ghostbusters, the new Ghostbusters movie. Just by the trailers, I didn't want to watch it. And I have no problem watching chicks if they're hilarious, but I don't need Tammy running around with a laser. And you know, that woman who plays Tammy, the bigger woman, she was respectable on a show, and call me out here, but I have a wife and she watches this show and she's really excited on Netflix. But Gilmore Girls is coming out, and that chick was okay on Gilmore Girls. That was acceptable. I have 4 sisters too. I've seen every chick flick, every chick show possible growing up. I am honestly, I don't know how I turned out straight, but everything worked out, I guess, for me. Okay, so it's going to be a score of 2-1. Effort's not going to resurrect himself here, so that means that we will be seeing Mind next here. And let's go ahead and edit this name out. Go ahead and load in our Terran player Mind. And Mind has 2 opportunities to defeat Zero. So even if he loses here. Meanwhile, Zero, this is an all or nothing game right now. And he's got to be careful. If he loses right here, we're done for the day. And we don't want to be donezo, do we? We've got all these replays to go through. All right, my love for Bisu put the straight hypothesis in doubt. Oh, that couldn't be more true. You know what? It's admirational love for a man. Can't we have that? I'm trying to convince my wife to when we have our first child, at least make the middle name Bisu. What I have convinced her on, and we've talked about the first name if we have a boy to be a G name. I'm not going to spoil any names. But the middle name would be a G too. So at least our kid's initials would have GG in it. Something gamer related. She's just got to humor me, right? Who cares about the kids' feelings? All right, La Mancha. We don't have to worry about being confused on whether which race and which spawn location these players are at, because we have 2 different races here. Let's jump ourselves up the fastest speed. I hope you guys can still hear me correctly here. I'm going to take a quick sip out of my water and get these announcements into action. Thank you again for all of you guys who watch. And if you watch my YouTube videos, thank you for watching from the VODs. And any of you guys who want to donate towards Zero just a couple dollars to thank him for sending me these replays, that's always a welcome too. Please, with the donation link below my Twitch account or my Twitch stream, just add in Zero, or if you want to send him a message, send him a message. But make sure you have the name Zero, or else that money is going into my pocket, and I'm going to buy lots and lots and lots of pixie sticks, because I feel like I haven't had pixie sticks in about 15 years. If there's anything that I need right now to get me really going, it's pixie sticks. Alright, I've had that kind of week where you just need massive amounts of sugar sucked out like cocaine through a straw. Okay, I know you don't usually do cocaine through straw, but maybe someone has. We're on the matcha. We've got the desert tile set. Pretty fun, pretty fun. And I guess this is like the desert cradle tile set, because there is actually the one where you have the sarlacc pits and the what are they? The scorpions that run around the map. So I don't know what specifically you want to call this one. Okay, Zero at the top left. He's used his resurrection life here, and so he only has 1 life versus mine down at the bottom left, who can resurrect himself if he does lose. Now, this has become more and more common for Terran players, is to build this barracks outside so you can have faster move outs with your Marines if you want to try and get aggressive. So what a Terran player will do is just kind of read the situation, say, okay, well, you know what, I don't like what I see here, I'm just going to keep my Marine at home, and he can eventually lift and land his barracks here to block off this location. Now, this isn't an immediate follow-up with the command center, it's looking like. Instead, it looks like a wall off, in a sense, is going to be going down with this additional supply depot that we see here. The initial Marine does come out right now, and this SCV with the Marine gonna... Oh, look at that! Drone's already pulled off. Zero trying to do what he can to just kind of disrupt the flow of this game early on and eliminate any attack here. So this is really like dirty play from Mind, who he only has a few units out. But the fact that he built this forward barracks and is just sending units out right away to attack is forcing Zero to pull and maybe even over pull as many drones as possible to make sure that there's not some sort of lay down bunker play here. And oh my god, all 3 Marines do go down. What a play by Zero. He brought out just enough drones here. The bunker gets canceled. The SCVs get killed off too. And this is a great opening for Zero. I gotta say, overall, he dealt with this brilliantly. And now we're seeing that because of the land of this barracks, that behind this, the command center coming up a little bit later due to that early game aggression. And this is going to be a lower Marine count to deal with mutas. This is the one reason why you may not want to go for all of the, you know, that early attack and possibly lose your Marines. Because it's a little bit safer when you have 2 medics, your Marines can heal up, and you're able to defense at home better when the muta timing does finally come out. This is setting him further behind upgrades. He doesn't have an engineering bay. He doesn't have an academy yet either. And no +1 or stim will be in the upgrade room. Now we can see additionally that there is the macro hatchery coming up. The gas, once the gas gets high enough, we will be seeing the lair morph as soon as possible here. Because I know that Zero wants to do nothing else but get himself towards the muta tech and start getting out and aggressive on the map. Now, we did watch several TVZs if you were in on the foreign cast here. And that was between Scan and Eon Zerg. And Eon Zerg, while a great Zerg player, seeing Zero in a ZVT is just another sight to see. It's just beautiful. And now his partner in crime, Sulky, has returned too. So Sulky and Zero are going to feed off each other. They're going to come up with all these builds that they used to talk about back when they were on Woojin Stars. And it's going to be crazy that these 2 players are just going to start dominating. It's almost like we are preparing ourselves for an old, just think 5 or 6 years ago, Pro League. Just think about the teams that we can make, because all of the ace stars from those teams are practically back and ready to play. Among the core, CJanthus, STX, SKT, KT, and I would say Woojin Stars, we could really kick it back into gear and maybe get a lot of amateur players back on board too. This is wishful thinking though. Don't think that it's going to happen just because we saw that SC2 Pro League did get canceled, but maybe get a little bit excited here. All right, someone wanted me to know, IOPG, thank you. Note that the position of the barracks above the supply depot lets the Marines through, while below it's linked tight. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool to note. And that's just one of those weird quirks with the sprites, that you can be pixel perfect walled off down below, but you can't on top. And it's all about the size also of Zerglings, because there are different units, like Ghosts, that when going north to south, they can fit through buildings that they can't from left to right. Oh man. And StarCraft doesn't get more brilliant than it does in the 2D world. Which is why a lot of people were afraid that if StarCraft 1 did get updated to 3D, that the 2D magic would just be lost here. Meanwhile, the Zerglings are just kind of viewing out at the front. It's +1 attack that's going to be coming on. It's going to be a total of 5 racks, which I really like this transition. And I was thinking that 5 racks had to be what happened here, because the Mind really wants to get a heavy bioforce early on. And nothing plays into that better than having an additional barracks going up to 5 instead of stopping at 4. Meanwhile, you can see that the concept stations are completed, and that turrets are starting to come up too. And this is almost a faraway turret, but because he's double stacking turrets, he's trying to do just outer rim damage here against the mutas, instead of putting like a turret here to defend the barracks and then a turret here to defend the SCVs. Mind is trying to defend the outside borders of his base and force the mutas to dive in, because he knows that he has a lot of mobile forces. The Marines are going to be really tough to deal with, and so if the mutas do dive past the 2 initial turrets, Mind is saying, bring it. I'm going to kill your mutalisks off. And so we'll have to see if Zero's going to fall into that trap, and can Mind pull it off. Already we're seeing that he's splitting down the middle here. Marine's going to be able to converge on both sides, and that the Muta is down on the south side here. But if these Mutas try to escape, they're going to get hit by double turrets. The Marines are going to engage right here too. And look at this. This is what I was talking about. So much damage coming down, and Zero's actually going to try and engage and take out these turrets if he can. He does send this one into the red. 30 health counting down here, and the SCV is going to have to be brought over immediately to try and heal itself up. Zero makes it out pretty much unscathed. 11 mutalisks still. A base coming up at the top right location too, and it looks like the initial push out for Mind is about to occur. We're ignoring the bunker situation at the beginning. This is the true initial push out when you've got those 2 medics coming in, 3 medics actually, and the mutas are going to have to try and get as many glaive hits as possible here to try and trim this down. We can see it halfway point here. Now the Marines making a little bit of a backtrack, but now that they've got the stim on board, there's speed moving forward here, and they're just going to make it towards the next link in the chain here as they leapfrog forward into a location where they can either attack the natural or stretch across towards the right side of the map and attack the right base. I imagine, though, that these Hydras here, this is exactly why I came up here, these Hydras here are going to try and make themselves lurkers on the high ground to defend, and even with scans, it's always really, really difficult to try and bust up that third base. Lurkers with their beautiful range are really, really tough to deal with. What happened there? Did he just kill his own Marine? Okay, so the mutas and the lynx are going to come behind here, and these lurkers are going to be enough, and even if he tries to actually time it out to become eggs, to block the ramp, that would have been nice too. But Lings and Mutas engaging here would be absolute best scenario if they can do it right at the ramp on this low ground. That's where you just want to catch all those units so you can maximize the damage here. Oh boy, look at this, a small skirmish coming from the left side here. The Mutas actually getting hit pretty hard, but that one medic not enough to heal up all the Marines, and so the Marines do get killed off, but there's so much pressure at the front. Oh, the Sunkens are going to be going down here. The Marines stimming him forward. The medics doing the best they can to keep everything alive. The Lurkers are going to be the saving grace here. They will finish up. So even if all the mutes and all the Sunkens and all the Lynx get killed off, these Lurkers are going to be able to go in for the massive defense here. You can see even units coming in from behind. The Lurkers poison themselves to try and kill off reinforcements here as they make their way towards the central area of the map. These Marines are going to get picked off. +1 Marines, so you can see so far. No upgrades for the Mutalisks. And we got to see if we can identify some of the evolution chambers. What are these players going for here? Queen's Nest already done. Oh my god, Greater Spire, are you kidding me? 5 Mutalisks, Greater Spire, a possibility here. Channeling his inner modesty here as he tries to continue forward. You got to keep those mutas alive, though, if you're going to go for that Guardian tech. Where would you go with Guardians? So, like on Fighting Spirit, I think that Guardians would be really good if they morph right here to go in for that attack. So, we see that the mutas are going to be heading down towards this base. At what point are they going to start to make their transition? Oh, the Great Aspire takes actually a considerable amount of time to morph, longer than just, like, getting to lair from your hatchery tech. Just so you guys know. Okay, so the initial Vulture is going to be coming out, which means that we are seeing the initial factory tech coming out here. It's going to be Vultures and Spider Mines, mineral heavy just to defend, while this dropship is going to be absolutely crucial to keep track of too. We don't want that dropship inside of Zero's base, right? He has to survive here. Zero doesn't have an extra life, so if he loses, he's out of this. Meanwhile, Mind, if he does lose this game, he still gets another chance against Zero. But of course, this is basically the ace match in this 2v2 little tournament that we've got going on here. So a good set of Marines that are heading up towards the left side of this base here, and going in for possibly one more attack. But you know, between the lurkers here, and I imagine that the Defiler tech has got to be on its way. So where maybe an initial Defiler is probably being built at some point here. Oh, here comes the dropship, and he knows about the Greater Spire. Okay, so the Greater Spire's been identified here. The Marines are scattered out, so I don't think that this was actually an effective drop. And in fact, this dropship takes some damage. I wonder if it's actually going to make it home unscathed here. But no damage done. A great response for Zero. Meanwhile, let's go down here. Okay, this is where I was talking about, where we would see the Guardians start to spawn out here. There is a Wraith that has been made. And so Mine knew about this, which is why he built that Wraith. For a second, I thought when I saw the Starport, I was like, curious unit to build here. But that Devourer does go down. The range of these Guardians should be good enough to kill off SCVs here, and I think that he should just move in and kill them off. Now, I believe that Wraiths, even with Cloak, are visible once they have the Acid Spores on them. It adds detection to that unit, so a little additional quirk there. But these Guardians are going to eventually get killed off. No more mutas on the map, I believe, too. So this is a full transition in towards the late game Defiler, Ling, and eventually Ultras type timing that we should see here. Unless there are Queens. I don't see Queens on the counter here. So I don't think that's going to happen for the mid game either. This Wraith is on the hunt now. This is actually a really nice Wraith. They can pick off these scouting Zerglings, but can also try and pick off Overlords that it may see around the map too. Let's see an SCV heading over towards the right side of the map. Meanwhile, we can see Marines sprinting down the middle too to try and do some more pressure. Without medics, though, this is just a random Marine force in the sense that even though they do have 1-1, because it is a transition, I believe. Are we going to see a full transition over to mech, or actually with 1-1? It may be that Mine's going to continue to go for Bioforces with the Science Vessel heavy mix in here. The Vultures are just going to be there for that additional damage because he had to build the factory, and he wanted to make the use out of the best use that he could out of the factory now that he had built it up. We can see that the Defiler is going to have to put down a few consumptions here if he does want to get maxed out energy. Look at that. The upgrade just finishing up here. And we can see that the command center unharassed is going to continue at the right side map. Zero does have this this natural from the top right, and this is going to put him up to 4 bases. These Vultures still just being really annoying holding up this 12 o'clock location. Oh my god, did he see the dropship? Because the Scourge would do a 3-6 or at least a 180 and try and pick off any of these flying units here. They are going to be looking for the Science Vessels. I see a few units moving out here. Just that Wraith here. The Scourge count, though. Let's get an idea of how many Scourge are here. 9 Scourge in total. And will they get any of the kills off? This Wraith. The Wraith could actually hunt down the Scourge. That would be pretty nice. And these Spider Mines are great vision here to identify if there's going to be move out from the right side of the map here, too. So Spider Mines always just having their worth here in the game. This is a rather passive game that we're seeing so far as we transition into the game. But, there's a dropship that's full of units. We got to keep an eye up here. Meanwhile, it looks like just a floating engineering bay. Oh, you sly devil. Is he really? Is he really? Oh, my goodness. What are you doing? What are you doing here? Did we lose track of the dropship here? No, well, here it is. Here it is. It's still here. Sorry. And it's going to go down. Bam! Taking out all those units. Great job, Zero, to identify that. I wonder if, no, we're gonna stick with the color scheme that we have here. We can see another building being sent up here. I always think it's so comical when you start seeing the buildings sent out. So now this is a full mech transition here, and we're getting to the late, like solid late game Zerg play here, as we see the factories being built up, a couple machine shops, which can be supported off the fact that there's a 6 o'clock base here, a bottom right base, and off these 4 bases, I mean, this is going to be out of control. The map split, this is really favoring Mind at this point in the game because of how much he's able to mine, and in fact, this Wraith is actually being a huge annoyance here too. So even with the speed of the Overlord, it's not going to be enough. It will eventually die here. These Zerglings trying to do a great job of mine sweeping up the spider mines here. You can see that the opening is here, and Mine no longer has that vision to see that the Zerg units are making their way down towards the bottom right. And this bottom right is going to be the key location for attacking as we continue in this game. It's the mineral and gas heavy area. It's lush with resources, and Zero knows that that's the area that he's going to have to take out. So look at this, a play going down on these science vessels here. Only 3 science vessels in the mix, and Zero's done a good job of keeping down the science vessel count, and he's actually going in with another Scourge attack. Is he going to be able to hunt them down? As many irradiates as we can see coming out here for these science vessels, it's going to be for naught. They will end up eventually dying off here too. Oh, that Defiler dying was huge, because no more Dark Swarms can come out. And we can see that the Spider Mine defense, oh, nice Spider Mines actually going back and killing off those vultures there too. These lurkers are going to be a great harassment area here under this Dark Swarm. Even when that does let up, more reinforcements will be on the way at that point. I did hear that there was this single siege tank here. Not a lot of siege tanks out on the map quite yet. We can see that there are 8. They just haven't become completely mobile here, as Mind is going to try and take over his bottom half of the map. Here, the move in, but even with that Dark Swarm gone, the lurker hits are going to be immediately damaging here. +1 carapace as these Zerglings move in. They're not going to... The carapace does nothing when it comes to spider mines here. This siege tank is actually going to lay out as much damage as it can. But if they can get within melee range, might be able to pick off some pretty quick tank kills. Meanwhile, this is showing such a flash style here as Mind is building buildings out on the map to try and just slow down the roll of the Zerg forces that are making it towards the bottom right. Now, this constant stream right here has allowed a hatchery to come up, so we are going to see that the 3 o'clock location will be taken because the constant aggression on the right side is going to free up Zero to be able to do that. He is going to have to be careful, though, as we do see more tanks are going to be coming into the mix here. And the tanks will slowly do this constant push upward and do a ton of damage against the Zerg forces if not dealt with properly. Oh, the Dark Swarm allowing this lurker to get within range. Taking out 2 tanks right away. Beautiful. There was a Zergling under there, too, actually, in a pretty thick area here. That's just an Overlord over there, not a Zergling that actually creeped in. Meanwhile, it's a stationary Scourge at this point, too. Let's check the bases. There hasn't been any damage done. I wanted to make sure that it didn't miss any dropship play, but there hasn't been the availability of dropship play ever since the dropships did get taken out. It's been a full focus on these factories inside the bases. Double armories, actually, so this is going to be really cool for Mind, as he's going to catapult his upgrades forward, too, and try and catch up to the Dynasty of Zero. Who has some pretty solid upgrades himself. There is a dropship here, so I guess there is, 1 on the map, or 2, but they're not doing anything at this point. I love how all these buildings are just providing such beautiful vision. Here we are, we've caught one. We've caught one of the dropships. Good thing that we were keeping an eye on this, right? So 4 vultures going to be coming inside of this, and actually they can do some pretty decent damage right here. That's that sweet spot. Right here, this is where I would drop them. And go for it, go for it, go for it. Mind, you got your opportunity. No, don't go closer. Look at all these lurkers. Scan, you asshole. Okay, there we go. We got the vultures coming in. And they are going to get some great kills off on these drones. And I apologize for calling Mind that word. He pissed me off. The vultures needed to land. Don't you ever have that moment when you're a fan of a player and you're like, do this, please do this. Drop the Reavers out. Kill that unit off. and it doesn't happen, you just get so filled up with rage, you know. But you're not the commander. You're never going to be able to make the calls that these players can do. But you can still yell at an S-class player. It's okay. Hey, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Oh, Lamada said that I'm calling all Terran's assholes. No, no, no. Just mind, he's a KT player anyway, so you know what? All is forgiven, aren't we? All right, so these vultures running around the map. Yeah, I should turn into like a terror caster and just go completely vulgar, let loose, unhinged. I'm going to do that next week. Next week's cast, I'm going to go completely unhinged here, but let's keep it PC enough. Look at that, the Ultralisk coming out on the map. We can see that the Ultralisk count of the 9 Ultras in the middle of the map. We're going to see Lings and Ultralisks, the Mad Cows, running down here too. And this is just a multi-pronged attack of not too many units, but that's why, because they're all inside of these Overlords here. The massive drops coming down. And can we see it? Yes, the Mad Cow disease has been complete. The Dark Swarm casted over all these units, rendering the tanks worthless. Tanks are dying by numbers here. 16, 15, and they're getting lower and lower as the lurkers and the Ultralisks do mix in here and kill off as much as possible. The Slings filing into, doing so much damage, cleaning up these Spider-Man. Whoa! Whoa! Way to go, Mine. Killing off those Lings like a champion here, too. Oh, the Ultras Tusk leaving behind a small graveyard here. We can see that Mine, though, being ambitious, trying to land more command centers, continuing to push forward his economy here. There are no SCVs mining at his main or his natural in terms of minerals here. The 12 has finally been taken. We can see that even the main running dry and the natural running dry. 4-0, but still, both these players in pretty solid economic positions as long as Mine can hold out at this one base location here. The tech pretty solid here. 4-2. Carapace upgrade. Ballin' for these Ultralisks. Okay, the Overlords have been loaded up again, and this is that really scary late gameplay that we see from Zero often, where he drops so effectively here. Oh, these SCVs fodder for the lurker spines, and it's gonna send this Ultralisk with only 45 health down on the hunt, but it does get splattered like a little Splatoon, and the tank's doing a great job over at that left side location, but they're only guarding the center of the map. There's not too many tanks here to be guarding this natural base. So many of them going down, so much mech wreckage as Zero has been able to take over this base. Oh my god, look at this. He's got the high ground, the Dark Swarm, the lurkers, and Lings going ham inside of this main base down at the bottom right. It's forced to lift on the command center here. Zero's taken over. The Swarm may have done it here. He may have done it. Mind with one extra life after this game, he may be forced into a game 2 here in this situation between both players. I can't believe the Ultralisk numbers. 19 Ultralisks in total. You don't even need Dark Swords at that point. Taking out Science Vessels by the dozen here. We can see the Science Vessel count down to 2. The largest unit that he has in his arsenal right now is just Spider-Mines here. This is tough. This is tough. Look at all the SCVs mining here at this location. Maybe this is just going to be a middle base holdout here. Mine's going to have to think of a few more tricks than just building turrets out at the front here. It's looking very, very unlikely that he is going to be able to climb out of this hole. But if anybody can do it, it's going to be mined. Oh, look at that. The death of the Ling. The death of the Ling. What a story. Sad story indeed here. The siege tank count back up to 15, though. 15, and you know, we've seen crazier things. Imagine that game with Action versus Flash, and I can't remember, was it Coliseum on that game? And Action looked like he had Flash in every corner, was going to defeat him so many times, and Flash was able to overcome it, and one of the greatest TVZs of all time. So I want you guys just to know that this is possible. The Terran race can pull out crazier wins than what we're seeing right here. But this next Overlord stack, if the tank count can get brought back down, 18 tanks. If that tank count gets below 10, I would say that there's absolutely no hope for Mind. And we're seeing that drops coming down onto the production facilities here. Actually, I would have preferred a few more Lings because Lings take down buildings in the late game so effectively here. But we can see that with the +2, these the Kaiser Blades is what they're called. Kaiser Blades just going crazy, just chowing down on everything inside of this main base here. Mind is just playing the war of attrition here, trying to wear down Zero, who's played 2 games in a row against Effort, and now it's going to have to play an additional game against him, even if he does win here. Oh, man. That Defiler does go smack down. Ultralisk is still surviving here. Tank's not able to get in here. Look at this. This is what I said. The siege tank count down to 11. 2 more tanks, and I call that game. Meanwhile, Ultralisk is still doing a lot of damage here inside of this base. A lot of SCVs are going to be able to go down. A command center that can't land over here. The command center that can't land over here. And these mineral patches just going down so quickly, so quickly. Okay, let's look down at the front. At this natural base for Mind, he's going to be pushing out with another siege tank force. He's got a couple science vessels that have been added back in here, unless it's been the same 2 that have been alive for a really long time. Unlikely, because Zero's been playing such a brilliant game so far in this. Oh, that turret couldn't even come up. Sad stuff, but this is a really, really bad thing. A lot of links just ran in here and died off so quickly. Not only these Marines having a field day, but well, that's it. Let's end that thought. GG, GG. All right, so great game by Zero, who's able to overcome Mind, and it's gonna go into the ace, the rubber match. Both these teams tied up 2-2. Hang in there, guys. I know it's past well over my hour of casting, but I think that's just something that I need to ignore at this point anyway. Not something that I cast. Okay. Actually, we're up to a score of, how did I get a score of 3-2? 2-2, right? 2-2? All right. Oh, man, I must have added a point to the wrong side. I apologize for anybody who's confused on the right side. Ignore that. This is going to be the last game of the day. Thank you guys for watching. If you have been hanging out this whole time, you guys are awesome. If you're just coming in, doesn't matter. I still love you. All right, Lamada adding some more anecdotes to this cast. So let me go ahead and read this out. Really cool or sad. Woojin's story I heard. Woojin Zergs lost several Pro League games because upper management forced them to build too many sunken colonies in TVZ. Oh my god, okay, I'm not even done. I'm not even done, but just that. So, upper management forced them to build too many sunken colonies. Wow, okay. So, basically opposite of Woojin Zerg's preferred style. Apparently, people who didn't know anything about StarCraft dictated builds more often than they should. In Woojin, Light was the only one who had total freedom in that regard because he was brought in by the coach. That is crazy. Lamada, please put together a book one day, because the amount of stories, just jot it down, whatever you think of one of these thoughts, type it out, because the amount of stories that you have is just astronomical, and I love listening to them. Or I guess reading them. Alright, so that's a little bit about Woojin Zergs, hey? And Sulky, one of the Woojin Zergs that I was talking about, has returned to streaming. And in fact, Scan was mentioning that he thought Sulky was pretty good. And so just throw that little tidbit out there too. I don't have to hide the spoiler anymore because we are going on to the last game. It's going to be Neo Jade, it looks like. Okay. And with the scores tied up, this is going to be our final game of the night. Welcome, everybody. I am BisuDagger, casting the last game of the evening. The winner here will win for either team. Best not pulling his weight, not getting a single win. Meanwhile, Effort winning 2 games actually, and losing to Zero's extra life. And now we see that Zero has been able to defeat Mind once and force Mind into his overtime game. So Mind spawning down in the bottom left-hand corner as the Terran player. Zero spawning down at the bottom right as the Zerg player. And if you guys want to donate, again, this is the last time I'll say it, donate a couple dollars towards Zero for providing these replays, or just send him a message of love. Please, the link below, you can just put his name along with the description when you donate to my PayPal, and we'll get that over to him. I have his PayPal. I pay him directly, and I take the 10-cent overcharge. A good site to get pro replays. Icy Cup actually has a pretty good replay section there. If you want to acquire replays, I guess that's where you should go. They're about a week or two behind on updates, but go ahead and check out Icy Cup if you need some replays. Also, a really cool place is actually the torrent section on Team Liquid itself. If you don't know about that, there's this replay section where you can get a lot of replays from a decade ago up to last year, I believe, is the most recent replay that has been added to those. And it's actually not a torrent, is it? It's just a straight up download. I'm sorry, but they have been added up on there. Really easy to access those replays. I do that every once in a while when I need additional content to just do something fun. Yeah, Zero really appreciated the donation from last time. He was ecstatic. And so that's cool. I love making people happy, by the way. We're seeing that the hatchery coming out first here. So we already know that's going to be a 12 hatch. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and identify the build coming out here. The drone can't get in. This is a fast wall. And what we saw last game, too, was the ability for a mine to kind of set himself up with this faux wall situation where if he needed to, he could lift his barracks and block it up from the bottom or top. And but with here, what we see here, it's a pretty nice tight wall with the 2 supply depots, the barracks, and the marine is going to spawn on the left here. So it's going to spawn safely on the inside, which is the advantage for actually spawning on the left side of the map as a Terran player, unless you're like a dirty person who's like, I want all my marines to spawn on the outside because I'm just going to be sending them to attack. But no, if you spawn on the bottom left, it's nice because you can actually wall off it effectively and not have to worry about lifting to bring your marine inside every time it spawns. The command center on the way though, and with this opening, with this wall opening, you can go marine light, which allows you to get the faster command center at the natural base. So it's all about cutting corners and getting edges, and that's what Mine's doing in this game. Meanwhile, he does have full on information here. And yeah, Neo Jade, if you're not familiar, has this down ramp instead of an up ramp. I don't find that as too caustic for any of these players in this matchup here, so we're not going to dwell on that one in particular. And we can see that another barracks coming up from behind too. So what Mind has opted to do is to go for an engineering bay, a gas, and an additional barracks, which means that he's going to try and go for the faster +1 build first over getting the academy. You know, Stim's going to follow up, but getting the engineering bay and that +1 is really nice to have early on. You can do so much damage with your bioforces, especially once Stim does kick in. That upgrade really helps out. A lot of the TVZ knowledge that I have recently, it comes from me watching Scan play against Eon Zerg. And once you watch players playing a best of 9, you start to really pick up on some styles, and you get a lot of knowledge just by watching someone play the same matchup over and over. And I do a good job. I felt like I did a good job last Tuesday of identifying the differences in all of Scan's builds. So if you want to watch that best of 9, it was pretty fun, and those 2 players went at it, and it was great series. We see that there's a drone headed out here, and Zero thirsty, no, hungry is a better term, hungry to get an additional base, and so he is going to be working his way towards a 3rd base location for mining. Of course, the macro hatchery just sitting over there inside that main. The Marines starting to stack up. 6 Marines in total. Heavy SCV production early on. It's just going to be constant. There's no reason for him to cut it. We can see that the +1 upgrade already on its way, and the academy coming later. And so this is what I was saying. So the academy is going to come, and he's still going to get obviously the range, and he's going to get the stem. But getting the +1 first does make him aggressive in this early game, especially with this medic that's coming out. And this is going to be a lot of fun. I wonder how Zero's going to deal with it, if he can deal with it effectively. We can see that the layer's done. Spire's almost completed. It's getting there, about 3/4 of the way here too. And this is the timing that that Mind is looking for right now. You can see that +1 should be kicking in. No. Actually, he doesn't want to engage, but he probably wants to just try and force out more sunken colonies here. While he doesn't have his upgrades completed, because obviously you'd want to stim in if you could try and take out these sunken colonies, but without stim, I feel like Marines just take down sunkens too slowly here. The mutas are going to be finishing up very shortly here too, and Mind doesn't want to be caught out on the map, honestly, against these mutas without the upgrades finished. Let's go ahead and check back in on this. He's going for range over stim too. Range is really what's going to help him combat these mutas, because they can't engage as easily with their glaive attacks if the range upgrade is completed. So even without stim, these Marines can just kind of hunker down and deal with the mutas more effectively here. We're going to see that the initial set of mutas are going to be coming out. Oh, I guess he already got stim done. I can't believe stim upgrades that fast. I am honestly surprised, but apparently he did actually get stim done first. And yeah, we're seeing that is the result here. And I apologize for not clicking over. If any of you guys watch StarCraft 2, there's Game Heart is this replay mod, or this obsing mod that allows you to see when upgrades are started and completed. And I think that's actually a really cool feature that would play out well for StarCraft 1, and let people know, okay, this is actually being researched. Because sometimes there's just so much action, there's so much you want to show, that you don't have time to click over here. Of course, the pro players tend to obs a lot better than I do. These mutas are moving in. They're going to try and get as many attacks in as possible. The turrets are actually really good spots. So triple turrets inside the mineral line. Front turret here too. And I really like the stacking here. Meanwhile, there's a lot of open space. And mine doesn't need to turret up over here because he doesn't have any buildings to protect. So he's got 2 here, and if anything, Zero's going to want to try and get his mutas up to the top left here. That's the best attacking location, if any. So we're going to see a total of 12 Mutalists. Is there an upgrade? No. So he's just going to be transitioning over into this Lurker aspect upgrade. That's going to be the follow-up here as we transition. Possibly going to be seeing a good mid and late game play like we saw on the last game. What was that? La Mancha that we just saw? Very, very fun map to watch between those 2 players. Alright, Mine's playing a good game so far in terms of defense. He's not allowing any of these units to get in, but can he survive right here? Oh, he's going to have to retreat. The turret had been taken out here too, but a considerable amount of forces down here on the low ground going to reinforce up the ramp, and it's going to force these mutas back. 17 Marines in total. We can see that the mutas still flopping their way around as they are 12 in total. 1 full control group, as you can see. 84 in terms of supply available, 79, 78. I mean, this couldn't be any closer in terms of the early game. Eventually you could see that Terran might get a higher supply advantage, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're higher in the game. But right now, these players playing on such an even footing, I'm just ecstatic to see this. So the initial turrets down at the front, and I was concerned whether this was enough turrets, but you would assume that Mine would be able to bring his Marines with stim in time to defend. I do like, though, that we're seeing the SCD kills, a couple now. I believe he was at 49 just a second ago, brought that down to 46, and his mutas getting some really nice shots off and delaying any aggression from Mind. And his bioforces have been unable to make their way out on the map. So this is really, really, really important. When you see that the Lurkers, instead of trying to camp out at the 3rd base, instead are able to go and attack at the natural, it means that Zero is playing a really great early game. He's been aggressive here, and now he's able to converge on this area. He's already forced out a scan, and he's getting closer and closer to trying and take this natural base. But what Mind has done differently in this game than he did in the first, he went for 5 racks in the first game, but he got a faster factory tech so he can defend with siege tanks here. But the tanks, how much damage can they really do against these lurkers and lings? Everything's been taken out. It looks like Zero's going to be converging in, trying to win the day here. It is just absolutely possible here that he might win out right now. These lurkers have such a good spot on the high ground. The concept station at this, it has 2 scans available, but it's going to go down eventually here too. Let's look inside this base. There's only 1 scan available, so this is going to be precious here. Oh, GG! Mine loses, Zero does it. What a game. All right. There we go. Zero taking victory for Team Zero Best. And that's going to be it. There's no more extra lives for Mind. Effort. He did his job. He won a total of 2 games. Mind winning 0. Unable to share the responsibility in this series here. And what a series indeed. All right. Well, I don't know what I have in store for us next week. I really don't. But listen, guys. I'm going to be back for a Tuesday's foreign cast. If you're interested in that or looking to be interested, want to learn more about the foreign scene. I'm learning more about the foreign scene myself because I promised that I would get more interactive with it. Meanwhile, next Thursday, I believe we're going to get some more Korean replays, hopefully from Lamada. So thank you for actually hanging out and watching this live. It's really cool to have you here. Just a little bit of note, I haven't gotten any contact from the Hungry App guy. I was going to send you an email about that. So I guess we'll hang tight, and I'll let you know if the Hungry App guy contacts me. And that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and get to our outro scene here. Let me pop this up as a thank you all for watching here. Yes. And now I'm going to play my goodbye video. Everybody take care. If you have any requests for future casts, please let me know. If you have any critiques, keep it to yourself. Don't make me cry at night. We don't want to do that. All right. Here's my awesome outro video. Take care.